And hello everyone, my name is Kieran Swale. I'm a tourism specialist at Southern Regional College and I'm delighted to welcome you to our panel host discussion for the Brig Apprenticeship event. We're taking a different focus this year. We're looking at business, education and community, and the purpose of the panel is to open out discussion on the apprenticeship model. The apprenticeship for employers, for teachers, for parents, for guardians, for the students themselves, potential and existing students, and the business community. In the past, we've run very successful big apprenticeships events, and obviously because of the pandemic, we're having to take a different approach. So this morning, I'm going to now introduce our guest speakers. We have Keith Kilpatrick from Southern Regional College, Una McNulty from the Area Learning Community, Amanda Smith from Newry Morning Down Council, Sarah Jane McDonald from Armagh, Banbridge and Craigavon Council, and Emma Mullen-Marion from the Newry Chamber of Commerce and Trade. You're all very, very welcome to our discussion today, and should say we are assisted by Sylvia and Michelle and Ashley and Sarah from the business support team in the background. So we're all ready to go today. Keith, could I ask you to introduce yourself, please?
Thanks, Kieran. Hello, everyone. My name is Keith Kilpatrick. I'm Director of Curriculum at Southern Regional College. I'm probably close on 40 years experience under my belt working in the further and higher education sector, and I'm particularly closely involved in the development of higher level apprenticeships.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Keith. And Una, would you introduce yourself, please?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Una McNulty. I'm principal of St Mark's High School in Warrenpoint, but I'm here representing the Area Learning Community, which is consists of a group of 15 post-primary schools and inclusive of our Southern Regional College. CEG, or Careers Education Information and Guidance, is very important within our schools. It's central within our educational plan, our school development plan, and it's very important that we have such events like this so that children have the information and are informed about what progression routes they have. And apprenticeships is a very big part of this and will be for years to come. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Una. And Amanda, good morning.
Hi, my name is Amanda Smith. I'm Head of Regeneration and Business Development with Newry Morning Down District Council. And Council are delighted to support Southern Regional College big apprenticeship event. We recognise that it's important for us to work together to shine light on the benefit of apprentices, both from an employer and from the student's perspective.
That's great. Thanks very much, Amanda. And over to Sarah Jane. Good morning.
Hi everyone, thanks Kieran. Yes, I'm Sarah Jane McDonald and I'm the Enterprise Development Manager at Armagh City, Banbridge and Craigavon Borough Council. I'm also delighted to be here with you all this morning, and as Amanda has said, apprenticeships are really important to us as a borough, really important to our local economy and to our local schools and that pipeline of young people coming through. So it's great to be here this morning to have the opportunity to join in the discussion. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Sarah Jane. And Emma, over to you, Emma. Good morning.
Good morning, Kieran. How are you? Thank you very much for asking me today. My name is Emma Mullen-Marion and I'm the President of Newry Chamber of Commerce and Trade. I'm also a HR and Wellbeing Consultant as in the day job. So I have worked, managed and owned businesses in Newry City for the last 18 years. Newry Chamber of Commerce has been in existence for over 200 years now. We are the representative voice of the business community here. We represent over 200 businesses and the many thousands of people that they employ, from self-employed businesses right up to the large multinational businesses that we have here in Newry City. We provide information and opportunities for businesses here in the city, and we promote Newry as a prime destination for businesses to come here, to trade here, and for people to live, work and to do business here. So we are delighted to be part of this event and to see the place of apprenticeship within the business community.
That's great. Thanks, Emma. We'll get into the business community response, a critical part of the growth of apprenticeships from our college and across Northern Ireland. Okay, everyone. Well, Sarah Jane, you know, the dreaded first question, Sarah Jane. Well, coming to you, Sarah Jane. So both ABC and Newry Morning Down have produced new economic strategies, and I suppose you recently, ABC, have published their own economic growth strategy. How will apprenticeships contribute to growth within your region? and our region.
Yes, that's right, Kieran. In ABC Council, we recently launched our Recovery and Growth Framework in February. It's really our roadmap and sets out our short-term and long-term actions to drive recovery and inclusive growth for the benefit of everyone who lives in this borough. So we all know apprenticeships already play a really important role in our local economy. In ABC, we have over 140 apprentice employers supporting in the region of 170 apprenticeships. Going forward, as we recover from the pandemic, apprenticeships will play an even bigger role and a more important role. Our young people are the future, and it is they that who will bring fresh ideas, innovation and new thinking to take us all forward. We're passionate and committed to working with all our partners, including SRC, local schools and employers, to achieve great things through apprenticeships. And that includes addressing skills gaps in our key sectors and helping prepare for jobs of the future. For us, what the pandemic has highlighted is really the importance of home. So it's really important to us that we create as many employment opportunities at home, and this includes apprenticeships. We want ABC to be a place where everyone feels at home and is supported to succeed and to live life to the full. The public health crisis will end, and we know our potential is enormous. We're looking forward to a brighter future and feel the opportunities through apprenticeships are endless. So we're really excited, Kieran, and looking forward with a lot of hope and anticipation to what can be achieved with yourselves through SRC and apprenticeships.
That's great to hear. Great to hear. And you know, when you put the context for us all, will become a demand in a wee second. And that notion of home and that focus on home, and you know, we could have a long discussion on this. I think we've only got 45 minutes this morning. But that's really, really interesting that you've strategized that and you put that into a commitment. In terms of the roadmap, is that a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan?
At the moment, the short-term actions take us to over the next 6 months, really. Okay. But beyond that, there are longer term actions, and they lead into, I suppose, the next 1 to 3 years. We haven't put a definitive time frame on it because, as you know, a lot of things are changing, and we are still in the middle of the vaccine rollout. But we're really hopeful as a borough, really excited as a council, looking forward with optimism to the future.
Great, lovely. Thanks for that. And Amanda, if I may come to you from Newry Morning Down Council perspective as well, you've produced a new economic growth strategy. Could you tell us a little bit about that and how your apprenticeship model fits into that?
Yes, so Kieran, Newry Morning Down District Council just in November 2020 launched a regeneration and economic development strategy, and that is built around 3 key pillars. Entrepreneurship, business growth and innovation, regeneration and modern infrastructure, and the pillar that really is the focus today, which is improving employability and skills. And at the heart of this strategy is stimulating and supporting growth in the district's businesses, and the foundation to the achievement of this is the availability of people with the right skills and experience. The council strategy recognises that across the district we already have available a high level of people with 3rd level qualifications. However, it is also recognised that there are clear gaps. Yeah. The demand from employers for people with level 1 qualifications is declining, and forecasters project that 11% of future posts will require qualifications below level 2. And at the higher end of the skills spectrum, it is forecast that 33% of employers will require at least a degree level qualification. So we know that the future skill needs of the economy currently differ from the current stock of skills. And the need to upskill and reskill is essential. And this includes students, but also those already in employment or unemployed or currently inactive. And apprenticeships are critical to this. They are the vehicle for a business that will not only meet a job vacancy, but will supply the required skills for that post. For the apprenticeship, they will gain their 3rd level qualification and do so with no debt or fees while gaining valuable and relevant paid employment experience. And as a council, within our strategy, we recognise that we need to continue to work with industry and colleges and schools to promote apprenticeships as a credible career path opportunity with clear benefits both for the employer and for the apprentice.
And that's great. Yeah, I mean, very much, Amanda. That partnership collaboration is critical. That's why we're on this panel today. We can't do it alone as a college and one of the 6 colleges. We need to work with, we're going to come to in a wee second. We need to work with our local council. That's critical. And historically, what has come, we maybe may have gone in different directions. And at least now we realize we can't do it on our own. And, you know, some of the critical points that you hit there about the skills shortages, and the 33% that you referred to there about the need for a higher level, higher education qualifications is critical. And I suppose, like Sarah Jane was talking about, the home message is critical. We're going to get on to this, I know, when we come to talk to Una as well about the whole communication. And as a college, we've been driving this for so long. So it's fantastic to hear that, again, Newry Morning Down Council are committed to that in the future. So thank you very much for that. I'm now going to, if I may then, because we touched there on industry, and if I now may come to Emma, please. Emma, so when you're working with your members, like, what have they said about apprenticeships?
I think it would be fair to say that there is a growing awareness amongst our members in terms of the emerging opportunities that are presented by apprenticeships, definitely more so over the last number of years in particular. Some of our members are very traditional industries and they've always accepted apprenticeship opportunities, but we are seeing a growing movement of apprenticeship opportunities growing outside of those more traditional areas. You know, when we start to look at occupations like finance, computing, science, marketing, things like that. So that is definitely a growth in that movement and in that direction. Many of our members are now starting to begin to explore apprenticeships as an option within their business. Those who have been employing apprenticeships or apprentices for years would say that they do benefit from that increased level of loyalty, and they now maybe have higher level apprenticeships that they can reward loyalty and progression opportunities within their business that they maybe wouldn't have had before. So you can definitely sense over the last number of years that there is a movement in terms of how people are seeing apprenticeships and how that can start to benefit their business at all levels.
Yeah, and that level of loyalty is an interesting one. I know we're going to hear from Una very, very soon, but that I use the analogy very much on a coaching. I do a bit of football coaching, and it's that loyal. How do you get that? You know, and the apprenticeship model allows that maybe close relationship with the apprentice, you know, and the student apprentice, and certainly for businesses, that has to be a really key attractor, surely.
Well, I think the thing is, you know, whenever we look at how long people stay in jobs now, that has been decreasing year on year on year. I think for somebody to go into a job and stay in a job for 20 years is pretty much redundant. I mean, that doesn't happen anymore. So now we're looking at, you know, how do we ensure that whenever we have somebody who comes into a business, how do we, you know, keep all of that skill in that one place? How do we keep all their talent, all of the knowledge that they learned about the business, all of the knowledge that they've gained about a particular sector? How do we do that? So it's now not so much looking at motivation. The key word now at the minute in business is about engagement. How do we keep those people engaged within our business and keep all of that talent? So yes, we refer to it here as loyalty, but in the business world, we refer to it as engagement, and the education of people and continuous education throughout their entire career is one of the ways and main ways that we do that.
Yeah, I think that's a fascinating topic, engagement, Keith. You know, engaging these apprentices and keeping them. Maybe, Keith, you could tell us a little bit about apprenticeships at SRC. You know, perhaps how long has SRC been offering apprenticeships? And, you know, SRC, as I know, has had quite a lot of success with apprenticeships. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, thanks, Kieran. SRC have been offering apprenticeships since as long as I remember, so it's a long time, you know, 20 plus, 25 plus years. Probably in the main over the last within the last 6-7 years, in those traditional kind of what we would, everybody perceives as an apprenticeship. Somebody comes to do plumbing, somebody comes to do motor vehicle, joinery or whatever in those traditional areas. However, what we're seeing now with the higher level apprenticeship development is that no longer do young people come to a college or indeed to school and then on to college to step onto a level 2 or a level 3 program and then step off into a job. What higher level apprenticeships have really permitted is now a full progression right through from level 3 through to foundation degree and then through to degree. We now have higher level apprentices who have gone right through the apprenticeship program right through to degree and have come out with first class honours degrees from university. So I think that's the big exciting part about apprenticeships, and for us in the college to be able to offer that level 2, level 3 progression route, and to allow young people and parents to see that young people will also be earning while they learn is a big strap line. And I think as well, what we're also trying to do in that space is sort of increase the value of vocational education. We still tend to be, and certainly in Northern Ireland and probably UK wide, very traditional about our, we've got to do A levels, we've got to go to university to get a degree. What the apprenticeship lines that are coming into development now allow us to do is really, I suppose, break through that glass ceiling. And level 3 apprenticeships are also now developing into other skilled areas. You hear cybersecurity, digital marketing, all of those areas mentioned. So not only are those areas being developed now at higher level apprenticeship, there's now a need for those and those specialized technical areas to be developed at level 3 as well. So we're seeing now an increase in development of those also.
Yeah, and that's really, really interesting. I love the way you put that, increase the value of the technical skills, because historically, if we certainly my age as well, wind back the clock to the old perception of the old technical college, but people were coming out with fantastic qualifications, practical. And now in our economy, that's where the need is in these areas. And as I know, our board of governors have tried to address this, our college has tried to address this perception. And really, I think what you've just shared with us here is the willingness and an indication that things are slowly starting to change. And there is that pathway all the way up from level 2 right to, you went to a PhD level. I think you could go the whole way up if you wanted to, and that's plausible, that's feasible. I think one of the other challenges for the college sector is the probably running in a parallel line is the whole social aspect of the inverted commas, the totality of that student experience. And that has to be a challenge that we may now talk briefly which bridges nicely over to Una. So thanks for that, Keith. We'll come back to you. Una, if I may now ask you, like the young people that you in your own school and the area learning community that you represent, what's the interest in apprenticeships, both at higher level apprenticeship and at level 2, level 3 apprenticeships? What's the interest level?
Well, I look at both of them as sort of separately, but together apprenticeships, I would say it's very important within schools. But in terms of higher level apprenticeships, yes, just as Keith has said there, it's really started, it's in its infancy, but it's most definitely growing over the past 6 years. I think probably, and we'll probably talk about it afterwards, the idea of children going into work with no debt is very important, and that they'll go and they'll get, not only will they get money basically, and that's very important for young children, but they are going to get knowledge, understanding and skills, and they will develop those as they are in their job. So it's a big driving factor. Probably what we would have to do is to educate. It is about educating everyone, and I mean all stakeholders, on what an apprenticeship is and the importance of apprenticeships, particularly the higher level ones. And I think that just what Keith had said, the idea that and to educate parents that the children are actually going out, they are progressing into the world of work, but they're progressing in that not just their skills, but they have their qualifications right through to a level 6. And we must sing that from the rooftops and explain that. And I was talking to a few of the careers teachers prior to this meeting, and in one particular school, there was 11 students on degree apprenticeship programs. And it's those children that come back, and it's their successes, that they are the ambassadors for all of this. And this year, there's 5 now joining in 2020, 5 joined from them coming back. So it is about us ensuring that we educate all of the children and use the people that we have. And I would just like to bring in a little bit here what we have been doing in terms of the area learning community, and indeed with Newry Chamber of Commerce and the SRC, that we would have had our monthly meetings, and we were invited to them, and I was part of that, and it was an excellent way of focusing on higher level apprenticeships, focusing on the skills that were required, just as Amanda said, and we had a huge career fair a couple of years ago, and that all came back to the careers teachers, who then could disseminate the information back again. So it's higher level apprenticeships definitely have increased, and I see that we as a school can promote it. The children have a greater interest. They're now asking the questions. Where could I go? Could I get an apprenticeship? And what would it mean? And parents are now asking as well. So this event is a way of doing that. The other side is, I think it's extremely important that we look at we talk about our craft and our trade apprenticeships. And Keith talked about the old tech days many years ago, and many years ago, I'm thinking of 36 years ago, started teaching when children started to go out to our current SRC to do our craft and crafts. They're hugely important within schools. And you have children, and that idea that they can go to our local SRC and they can get the skills for the plumbing, the mechanicking, the hair and beauty, the butchery, all of those, and different crafts are now being created and different within the SRC, that these children, it's all about not just attaining a qualification at school, it's about children progressing. Children, when they leave school, it's where they progress to. Do they progress to university? Do they progress to the world of work? Do they progress to their apprenticeships? And that's what we need to be able to do, is to give them experiences for all of that. And the SRC currently does all of that. And we would have had children that were involved in our skills build program within the SRC, which was an excellent event for our children doing occupational studies. And I remember a couple of years ago, one of our own students, he won the UK award for tiling. And we've had children back last year. We had our careers fair, and we invited children back that have gone on to do those apprenticeships, local apprenticeships, that are now entrepreneurs. And they are the people that are going to basically sell it to our young people, which I think is extremely important. But as we've all said here today, it's how collectively we can do that. And I think we have such an excellent partnership with Newry Chamber, with the SRC, and with businesses. And it's about us. I personally, as a leader, feel that we have to drive this, and careers program should be top of the agenda in any school program. And I know that the rest of the principals would feel that way, because at our area learning community, it's central to our action plan on a yearly basis. So yes, a great interest. The interest is increasing, but again, as leaders, we have to make sure that we continue to drive that. And I'm delighted to hear there's so many more different apprenticeships coming on board for all of the children. But it's about understanding and getting the message, I think, across to particularly to parents, and breaking that myth.
That's great. Una, thanks very much. A very insightful response there, and so true. You know, once again, we can't do this on our own, and the collective approach is critical. I love the way you put it, at the driving, you know, and it's coming from you saying that as part of the area learning community. Obviously, as one of the 6 colleges, we're going to be saying that, but that's response is coming from you, that we need to drive this. And you're so right. You made a very interesting point there, and it's one that's close to my own heart. So in a coaching situation where you're trying to coach and you have a team for 7 or 8 years, like I've done, when I bring in a past player who's is very similar, slightly older, the boys just, they get it. And I'm going, how did that happen? And likewise, when you're bringing in a past student of yours who's an apprentice, who's a very successful entrepreneur, they'll get it. And that must be a key strategy for us in the future. It has to be.
Oh, absolutely. And they will listen to someone different, because they have the experience. They're talking exactly what is happening with it. They're just such a key factor in driving this.
Okay, that's great. Well, we'll be coming back to you. Una, Emma, if I may come to you, you've worked with Southern Regional College on apprenticeship promotion. What does that actually involve then?
Well, it's been going on for a number of years, and thankfully it's been building year on year, which is wonderful. Probably was a bit quiet in 2020 than I probably would have liked, but that just means that we have double the amount of work to do in 2021 now that we start to come out of the pandemic. But in terms of what it has looked like in the past, we've worked very, very closely with the education and with industry with the aim of bringing the two closer together. So bringing education closer to with an idea of what the jobs of tomorrow actually look like. And that changes dramatically year on year. We have seen a lot of the digitalization of a lot of roles, and some roles which have been there for many, many years. We can start to see already that they won't be there. So it's very, very important for our education sector to be aware of what the realistic changes in business actually is like, so that they can start to influence and guide our young people in terms of what the jobs of tomorrow are going to look like. Even in terms of the HR industry, when we look at data analytics, that is a huge part, in terms of managing people. We now can predict within 3 to 6 months of when somebody is actually going to leave their job. I mean, that is crucially important, whenever it comes to the management of businesses and, taking on different projects. So the whole world of data analytics and statistics and how that's being used, even in statistics and sport. I mean, whoever saw that coming, about 10 years ago? And that is now a realistic career path right in Uri City. So it's that sort of idea, bringing education and industry together to give an indication of what the future jobs are going to look like is really, really important. And I suppose we've also supported the big apprenticeship event. We've also hosted the education to industry event for principals and teachers to come along and learn about apprenticeships and job opportunities as well within the area. But I think as well, picking up on what Una said, it is about supporting our young people. There is a huge responsibility up until, whenever they're within our schools, to give them the best education experience that we can. And I think a lot of students react in different ways to different educational approaches. And the more opportunity that we can present to them in terms of where they can take a passion, where it's something that they really, really enjoy doing, that they can make a job out of that. I think all of that is hugely important. Even in the pandemic, we have had, I think it's approximately 50 new businesses that have started through the Enterprise Centre here in Uri. So even in a pandemic, there were opportunities here for people to take their skills, take their passions, and make a job from that. So I think there's opportunities in all of that. And in terms of apprenticeship, it's another alternative, another route to education, another way of using your skills and knowledge in a different way.
I think that's very interesting, because you are the pulse. I use that term because a college can go and create all these wonderful qualifications, but if there's not a match, if there's a mismatch, it won't work. So having that collaboration and that voice is critically important for the success of this. So that's actually great to hear. Una, if I could come to you, I suppose we've touched on this. Some of us have touched on this. We've been living within a pandemic, and all of us are very aware of the importance of physical health, mental well-being. And I'm kind of wondering, because of the pandemic, what kind of impact that has had on your students and in relation to choice in the future in the next 30, 12 months or 24 months, and how has that impacted, if at all?
Well, to be honest, in terms of local universities, I would still say that the children are applying locally, but across the water, they would say that the applications would be down slightly. But what I would say is that they are now beginning to question what in terms of university life, because what they have seen and they've witnessed, particularly because of the pandemic, is that those students that went to university last year or even the year before, a lot of them are now more at home because they're doing online technology. And they're now beginning to question, well, if that's what the possibility might be, there may be other ways. Like, in actual fact, the apprenticeships and being out in the world of work could actually be more appealing than what they're doing at the minute. So it's hard really to gauge, but I think it's an ideal opportunity for all of us to sell and to promote apprenticeships and what it can do, that you're still out in the world of work and you're learning side by side, and not learning, it may be online or remotely, whatever way we like to call it, but you still have that sort of win-win balance of both.
I suppose that maybe early for the data just yet.
Yeah, would be.
I think probably all of us on this call would agree that the world has changed. Certainly in the sector that I work in tourism, hospitality, it's changed forever. You know, literally has. And whether this is a seismic shift, it's certainly a shift in communication in life and in business and in education and in learning. It's definitely going to be a shift. So whatever emerges in the short term, medium to long term, it's going to look differently. And I guess what we're touching on there is the perception of the student now. Is she or he starting to ask, well, maybe I should be thinking about doing this a different way, because maybe that's not all it's cracked up to be, this wonderful student life. And I have some firsthand experience, as I know some on this call do as well, from family. It's just maybe not the be all and end all, and perhaps we should look at a different way. And as you say, maybe that is an opportunity then for the colleges to look closer at communicating that message. So thank you for that. Maybe Keith, that links in nicely to the future of apprenticeships at SRC. Can you give us some indication of strategically where apprenticeships are going?
Yeah, I mean, we have been developing. I suppose it's fair to say that we have continued to consolidate. We're adopting, digital skills, transversal skills into our existing apprenticeships, those more traditional ones that I referred to earlier. We are now looking at around
transversal skills. Maybe just for someone that doesn't get transversal skills, what exactly?
Transversal skills are really, it's about what you'd call in old-fashioned terms, employability skills. Those softer skills, I suppose, that sometimes are neglected a wee bit. When you're looking at sort of someone who's very practically focused and practically skilled, sometimes that team working and those personal sort of skills tend to get a wee bit. So we're trying to bring more of a focus into those as well. And digital skills, I suppose. People will be aware of very generic IT type courses, essential skills and the old European computer driving license and things like that. Those are now becoming more and more old hat because of the digital, I suppose, specialisms that there are now running through the likes of the construction industry, advanced engineering industries. They're very, very specific, bespoke software and IT digital skills that go with those. So that's at the level 3. And again, looking at new areas that have become specialized very quickly, the likes of cybersecurity. Someone else on the panel there mentioned data analytics, science. There's a need to roll those back now into level 3. But I suppose the big area for development for us recently has been over the last, I suppose, 6-7 years in the higher level apprenticeship space. And we now have 7 higher level apprenticeships running across the college, but the college's strategy is to continue to consolidate those. We continue to bring more new employers on board with those. I think we had about 64% of new employers on board in 2020. So we continue to bring new employers on, but also continue to explore moving the, I suppose, the offer into a wider spectrum. At the minute, we very much support STEM through our higher level apprenticeships. They tend to be science, maths, and sort of engineering, technically focused on computing, but we are looking at moving, say, for example, into the automotive industry. So we're constantly scanning and working with employers to see where those skills needs are. And the key issue for us with a higher level apprenticeship in particular is that we work extremely closely with employers to develop those qualifications. It's within our gift to hand in hand talk to employers about what they need, what we can build into the qualification, and do that. So we're now exploring different areas in technology, the Internet of Things, looking at big sectors like the health sector, where are the needs there and where can we bring higher level apprenticeships to bear on that. So really any area that we feel we're responding to the skills pipeline, we will look very closely at developing an apprenticeship or indeed a higher level.
That's really important to hear and to highlight, because so collectively, if a sector of the industry decides, you mentioned about the the health, let's take health analytics, for example, combining two that have come forward in this conversation. So there's obviously a need for skills. There's a skills gap there. So you get in contact with a few of the employers through a sector representation, and then you say to your sponsor department, the Department of the Economy, listen, we can turn around a model here. We know from our consultation with industry, we can turn this around in X amount of months.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we say that here. That's where the colleges across Northern Ireland have been able to do.
Yes, and I suppose it's also noteworthy that the colleges themselves don't have degree awarding powers. So there's a almost three tripartite partnership going on here between the college, a university which will validate the degree. Higher level apprenticeships are currently nearly all underpinned by a foundation degree, and that then enables those young people to progress on either with the university as a partner in that to a level 6 or degree qualification. So it's very much, but it's very, I can't emphasize enough how much of it is employer-led, in terms of the content of those qualifications, which I suppose flips the more traditional kind of qualification development on its head a wee bit. Yeah. Where you see, universities developing qualifications which are not always necessarily that closely aligned, to industry. They're more generic. These are very, very much aligned and aligned to local employer need. Southern Regional College, manages across, Armagh down, and has a fairly big geographical area. But we tend to find as well that there are differences in the employer and the sectors and their need compared to, say, a college like Northwest Regional College or even Belfast Metropolitan College. There are subtle differences in the skills and the higher level apprenticeships therefore that are needed depending on the employer base. So it's not only very employer focused and led, it's also very much serving that particular geographical region and the particular need that there is within it.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you for that. That's very good to hear. Amanda, just when Keith started to talk on about the region there, for Amanda, from working with employers in Newry, Mourne and Down, are there plans in terms of job creation through apprenticeships?
Across the district, we have seen more and more employers engaging with the college to take on board those apprenticeship opportunities. Employers are more often now recognising the benefit to their business, and they're filling a vacancy and they're meeting a skill need which they might not have been able to fill from a recruitment process. Yeah. And we have found that due to the success of the apprenticeship options, after the apprenticeship programme completes, many of those apprenticeships are then being retained by their employer in more permanent positions in order to meet the demands and the skill requirements of the employers. And colleges, schools, councils and chambers have all been engaging collaboratively for a number of years now to promote the apprenticeships and the higher level apprenticeship opportunities. And as a result of that, at higher level apprenticeship science has resulted in the creation of 76 jobs right across the SRC area. And higher level apprenticeship Metatronics has resulted in the creation of 94 jobs, meeting a request from industry for the provision of a resource with an understanding of different engineering disciplines. And neither of these qualifications or pathways to employment existed before the introduction of higher level apprenticeships. But in addition to all of that, council and colleges are working with our partners in the Belfast Region City Deal to put apprenticeships in the spotlight and to ensure that the right support is in place for businesses to access the talent that they need to grow. And this is picking up on the points that Keith had mentioned about employer-led content, where a series of webinars are being rolled out now over the next few months, focusing on key opportunities within a range of key sectors such as manufacturing, health and life sciences, professional businesses, business services, the public sector and digital. And we're really encouraging employers to get on board and engage in those webinars to make sure that future apprenticeships and higher level apprenticeships are designed appropriately in order to meet the skill needs of those individual sectors.
That's great to hear about the webinar series. We've been doing our own webinars at the business support here, but yeah, and have had a great response to it. So it's kind of focused on the theme of those. But no, that's really, really good to hear the success of the apprenticeships within Newry, Mourne and Down. And Sarah Jane, then for young people making decisions about their future, based on the research now that has come forward, what sectors within your own region, within the ABC region, will generate most employment opportunities?
Thanks, Kieran. For us in ABC, we have a really strong and diverse business base. We have over 8,000 VAT registered businesses and a really strong startup rate of new start businesses. In fact, we have the second highest startup rate outside of Belfast, and Emma touched on it earlier. For us, that has continued as well throughout the pandemic. We've been delighted to see the number of people who have rolled up their sleeves and taken this as a really good opportunity to do something they love or do something different and move forward. So for us, we have some key sectors that we're particularly strong in, that we see that there will be opportunities for apprentices, and that includes agri-food sector. We're known as the food heartland of Northern Ireland, with 870 food and drink producers who win awards across the globe. We have a really strong advanced manufacturing sector in which there'll be really good opportunities as well going forward, new jobs of the future. And within advanced manufacturing, we have a really exciting and strong growth of green economy businesses. So our businesses, and I suppose that overarches all sectors, but the green economy in particular is really important to us as we look to be more sustainable going forward. And that's something that's come from the pandemic as well, where we've all seen the benefits of less people commuting and the really good positive impact that's made on the globe. So we're now moving forward into careers like that. And then for us, it goes without saying, and it's the same in Newry, Morningdown, health and life sciences is a really strong sector. Here we have Almac, we have lots of really strong small to medium businesses in the life and health sciences sector that all act and feed into the supply chain. And we also have Craigavon Area Hospital, which we have all been so thankful for and grateful for over the last year, and we really appreciate the way they've looked after us all. So they would be three key sectors: agri-food, advanced manufacturing, and life sciences. But we also have such a strong and diverse business base. We have we have a thriving tourism economy, and one that we want to grow. And we also have a very strong transport and logistics sector, which has really played a vital role throughout the pandemic and over recent months as well, in keeping everything moving and keeping the whole country going. So we're really proud of our businesses and the role they've played to overcome challenges and to create opportunities for employment. So as I've mentioned, there's a vast array of employment opportunities across the board.
Well, it's good to hear that, Sarah Jane, between yourself and Amanda there, and I also know from the Newry Chamber as well, to hear that for us all here at Southern Regional College and from at the area learning community, to hear the opportunities that there is across the southern region of Northern Ireland. Certainly hearing that, I'm kind of going, yeah, I'm going to go on the little tick going, oh, I'd like to do that. Oh yeah, oh, sustainable. Oh yeah. So it's fantastic to hear. And likewise, Amanda from, Newry Morningdown region, lots of great opportunities that are now coming to the fore. And this helps us shape a strategy as we go forward as a college, as one of the 6 colleges, in trying to communicate the benefits of apprenticeships. Now, you're not getting away lightly just yet. All right, so just hold on, don't be going anywhere, because I have Aisling in the wings, I think. Aisling, we're queuing up a little short video, and then I'm going to come back to you all by way for a little comment at the end. So Aisling, before Aisling plays this video, Michelle has kindly reminded me we're going to see a short video which will promote the range of apprenticeship opportunities. thank you very much. Thanks for that, Aisling, and hopefully that gives you a little flavour of some of the opportunities that are out there. If I may come by way of a closing comment, and Keith, I'm coming to you first, just in a quick summary. We're trying to, Michelle and Sylvia have called this busting the myth, busting the myth of apprenticeship. So maybe if you had one thing to say as a closing comment, what would it be about apprenticeships?
No, I think in terms of busting the myth, we still have a lot to do. I mean, we can extol the virtues of the apprenticeship route, you know, here and to everyone else at very successful events. But I think Una probably mentioned it, that it's winning the hearts and minds of young people at an early stage where they can step into, you know, an apprenticeship or a vocational route. And it's as a society, we start to value that vocational route as highly, if not more highly, than the academic route. And don't get me wrong, as someone who has come through the traditional academic route, I'm not trying to rubbish it in any way. But I do think that as a society, we need to value that vocational route and those young people who are doing those vocational routes much more closely. I've visited in my tenure quite a lot of other countries that are very successful economies, have very successful pipelines. If you look at Germany, Switzerland, Holland, and in those countries, there's no differential made. And in fact, vocational education is probably held in higher esteem than an academic route. And it's no accident then that they are very successful economies and they're very good at what they do. So I think that would be a key message for me to bust that myth, you know, that the vocational route is equally, if not more valuable than some of the more academic traditional routes that we tend. And we find it when we engage with schools, when we engage with parents, there is still a big message to get out there and a big exercise to be done. So far, so good. And we are seeing traction now, particularly with higher level apprenticeships and people seeing value in those, but the job's not done yet.
Yeah, I think looking at other countries, and this is a different debate, you've just kicked it there, kicked it off, but certainly looking at Holland and Germany and Switzerland that you identified, and probably other European destinations is fascinating to look at their economy. But you're spot on there in terms of about the value, which I'm going to come to Amanda then. Just busting the myth, Amanda. You know, one thing to say about apprenticeships. How could you bust the myth?
I think you know, it's been mentioned through this panel discussion, apprenticeships are opening up so many opportunities for young people, and we need to be shouting about that and creating greater awareness around it. They offer an opportunity to get a degree while obtaining hands-on experience and earning a salary, and there's no other way that a student can come out with a degree, a salary and experience. And we all know that the person with experience is more employable. But also from a business perspective, there's more and more businesses taking up apprenticeships, and right across our district, like we have a lot of very successful and growing businesses, and apprenticeships more often are now becoming a core element of the staffing resource within those businesses.
Yeah, I love the way you put that, degree, but it could be any qualification. So your qualification, your salary and experience, and if you had three little overlapping circles, boom, there it is. You know, so yeah, very good. Sarah Jane, bust the myth. How could we do that?
I think everyone has said it already. Una put it beautifully earlier. It's really about engaging with people, with the young people at the right age, at the right stage, getting in early, and that the importance of parents in the decision making and helping I suppose raise their awareness of the opportunities that there are, because they're huge decision makers in all of this and very influential, and rightly so. But it's just highlighting all the positive benefits. It's one of those things that the more you know about it, it can only help you make an informed decision, and it's win-win for everyone. It's a win for the student, for the young person, as Amanda says. You come out with your education, your employment and your experience, and for the business as well, you're getting that you know, that new pipeline of talent and innovation coming through. So for everyone, what I would say is reach out to Southern Regional College, speak to the college, speak to your local you know, businesses, speak to the local council and have a chat with us and get involved. I'm
smiling because I can already see Johnny and the marketing team going win, win, win. he's starting to piece this together. I can just see it. But yeah, no, that's you're spot on. You're spot on about the engagement of the young people, and that is a challenge that I'm going to come down in a wee second. That certainly is key. Emma, then for you, how do we bust this myth?
Well, I think I think everybody on the call today, we're probably now termed as seasoned professionals, so I'm going to use that term. But what I would say is I can say over my experience, I've probably learned as much in business as I have in education. And I think when I look back, I can see the benefit of both. And maybe in the chosen profession that I had, apprenticeship wasn't an option for me back then. But for me, as I start to look at the apprenticeship route, I see it as a huge opportunity that provides both of those. The opportunity to gain educational experience and to have industry experience and to put it both together. Amanda touched on it, you know, as a recruiter and in HR, if you have 120 people applying for the same job and everyone's got the same degree and you're trying to separate those people out, you are now looking at the skill set to be able to appoint the right applicant for the post. And usually when it comes down to that, we're looking at resilience, their interpersonal communication skills, we're looking at their entrepreneurial spirit, we're looking at their intellectual curiosity, because we know that the job role is going to be different next year, the year after that, and maybe 10 years after that. So we're looking at that individual within our business and how that individual can, you know, grow with us and what they can bring to the business in the future. So I think the apprenticeship route does provide a huge amount of opportunity to add all of that, both to the individual and for the business community as well.
So Una, if I may ask you then, Una, we've had a great conversation today, but if you could say one thing as to how we could go about busting the myth of apprenticeships, what could you share with us?
I agree with what everybody has said here today, but I think the key word to all of this is education and information. And we need to educate the students, we need to educate the parents, we need to educate the businesses. And it's great, I see over the last number of years that so many more businesses have come on board because they see the benefits of all of this. Parents are now beginning to see the benefits and students are as well. So if I said something about apprenticeships, they're not just a way to start a career, but they're a way of progressing once you're in a job. And if we tell students that, and that's what's key, and support this event and support the SRC, we have a super partnership, and let's continue to make this grow for the good of all of our young people in our early learning community.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Una, for that validation there and education and information being key. Thank you to everyone, to Amanda, Newry Morning Down Council, to Sarah Jane, thank you very much from ABC, to Emma from Newry Chamber, to Una from the Area Learning Community, to my colleague Keith from Southern Regional College, and to behind the scenes. Of course, we've had a few wee challenges today. So to my colleagues, Aisling and Sarah in the background, and to Michelle and Sylvia, thank you once again for genuinely for participating in this. And you know, this coordinated approach together, I think we are optimistic, and of course we're facing many challenges, but together like this, certainly there's optimism for the future. So once again, thanks everyone. Thank you very much.